Hey everybody, it's Abel from Morphe again. I'm going to do a quick product demonstration here. I just finished up some vaults in mesh, and they're a little bit different than my sculpt vaults, but a lot more practical, a lot better looking as far as texture goes and fitting and everything. But there's going to be a couple slight differences between this set and the sculpt set, so I wanted to go over a couple things and maybe give you some tips and tricks on how to use these in the most practical, easiest manner. For starters, you're going to notice the pieces that I have here, and they're going to look kind of similar if you're familiar with the sculpt sets, but as I cam up, you're going to notice that it looks like there's no tops on the vaults. And there's a specific reason for that I'm going to go over right now. I'm going to drag my full vault out into the center of my little area here and go over exactly why there is no tops on here. When you're working with mesh, you're basically working with the skin, a one-sided skin, and you couldn't do this with sculpts. Sculpts always needed to be closed off, so you could only see the exterior of the sculpts, whereas with mesh it's a lot more practical to work with one side, because in a lot of building and creating you're only going to need one side. So when I made the vaults, I wanted to make them as low prim as possible, so by eliminating the tops and making a skin on the outside, which would, you know, double the prim count most likely, I just went ahead and left them off because they're not really going to be necessary when you're building your vaults. Your vaults are more importantly going to be showing down as a ceiling, of course, and up here on top is either going to be another floor or a roof, so nobody ever looks down into the vaults, and most likely not sideways into the vaults either. Now, I did include some end pieces here that you can see in the white that'll fit snugly on the ends in the event that you do need to put an end piece on the vault. That's what this here is. It's for a full-size vault, and these are for the half-size vaults. You can probably figure out how that works. What I want to do now is go over linking these together and making them seamless. And by doing that, I use the grid to snap. Not my grid texture, but the grid that comes with SL. When you click on your move arrows, you get this little grid, and you can snap on it. So that's what I do when I put pieces like this together. The pieces are pre-built to a specific exact size. For instance, if you see here, this full vault is actually 10 meters by 10 meters by 4.5. So you know that every 10 meters this thing will meet up exact. And the half pieces are 5 meters, and the quarter pieces are, you know, 2.5 meters. So everything matches up at res size. Now you can go ahead and resize your pieces at your own will, but you have to resize them all equally so they fit together. And I would do that by holding down Shift and Control and resizing the whole set, the whole link set as one. But we're not going over that right now. What we're going to do is put it back to 10, and I'm going to show you how easily you can take these vaults and make a beautiful little set. I'm going to also drag out one of my columns. In this kit I've included a full column, a half column, and a quarter column. These columns, I know you're probably going to think, well, what in the hell would I need a half column or a quarter column for? But this will be if a vault ends in the corner of a square room, you're only going to have a quarter of that vault showing, and this quarter vault here will fit into that quarter nicely without protruding through the wall into the room next door. Same with the half. If you're on a linear wall, you can put the half vault up against the wall, and the vault's not going to stick through on the other side. And of course we have the full vaults for the middle of the floors, the middle of the vaults, and that's what I'm going to drag out here. I'm going to drag this out and snap it down to my floor. Right about there will be good. I'm going to square it up to the grid. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to center it exactly on these yellow lines. I just use a grid texture for quick reference. Makes life a lot easier. So I'm going to drag this out, and you can see, looking up at the coordinate window up there, it's exactly on centers, 230 at 220. So we're going to keep that there, and I'm going to take this vault and drag it over using the grid and snapping, and I want it to be right there. And once again, I'm going to raise it up so it sits right on top of that vault over there, which is right there. So now you see we have a good seamless connection here, and you got your shadows. Those will all be hidden if you put it together correctly. Now I'm going to take another vault, slide it over here, perfect, and do the same for the other side. Perfect. One more. And there we go. Okay, now to copy the full vault over, I'm just going to go ahead and click on it, shift copy, and using the grid, as you can see, I'm snapping on each increment. I'm going to snap this right together. Perfect. Now you can see the two volts are together. There is absolutely no seam in between here that you can see. No gap, no overlay. It fits perfectly. Now I'm going to take my two columns. I'm going to slide those over using the grid again and snap them into place. Perfect. Now one more time to make 4 volts. I'm going to grab these two and shift copy them over, and perfect. This will work with all what do we got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all 6 pieces of the vaults. They all fit together seamlessly, and you can see the trim lines up real good, the vaults line up real good. Let's get these out of the way. Okay, real quick here, I'm going to cover the 3 sets of textures that come with the set. You're going to have your full texture with shadows, that the one texture pack that I made. Then your ambient occlusion maps, which is the one in the center here, and on the right side here you're going to have the UV map that I had created for the columns. This is going to allow you to make your own textures before you apply your shadow map. It's just a handy little texture that's going to give you the coordinates of where all the texturing is taking place at. As you can see, here's the texture right here. So when you take this into your external graphics program, you'll be able to easily line up where you want to put, say, some decorative trim across the top piece here, and maybe color up your columns, lighten or darken them, and put some decorative elements in the middle of your columns just to spice it up a little bit. This comes in pretty handy, and I do plan on making a tutorial video on how to use these UV maps coming soon.